Hello Kaiju fans, welcome back to the Kaiju World Order. My name is MM, and this is Monster of the Week, where I just talk about and ramble on about a monster that was voted on by members of the Kaiju Hugbox Discord server, which you can join with the invite on the channel listing here. And this week's monster is none other than Geronimon from episode 37 of the very original Ultraman series way back in the day, and unfortunately this monster has never been seen since here. And that is actually very unfortunate. It is a very unique monster. It's a very cool monster. It is, I believe, the very first Kaiju to ever have the gimmick of resurrecting dead Kaiju in order to come back with an army. And with all that, let's get right on into it with Geronimon. Geronimon does not make his appearance until the very end of the episode. Instead, episode 37 is actually more along the lines of just setting him up. It does actually feel like this monster would be perfect for a two-part episode, and if brought back into modern day, easy to do. But regardless, Geronimon resurrects the monsters Draco, Telesdon, and Pigman to do his bidding and prepare the army that is about to come and attack the Science Patrol and Ultraman to get revenge for all of their deaths. Now, Pigman, however, is an ally to humans and gives the Science Patrol plenty of notice, to the point they're able to go there and find his resurrected Draco and Telesdon and kill them. With his two main monsters out of commission already, Geronimon appears without having raised his full army. Immediately, he just sprays some mist from his mouth, which lifts up the Science Patrol humans and just dangles them in the air until Hayata summons Ultraman, and we get your typical Monster of the Week fight. And Geronimon does have some unique powers besides just his anti-gravity mist. From his tail, he can launch feathers that can follow an opponent, seemingly through a form of telekinesis. He does use these feathers to stab into the back of Ultraman and actually follow him through the air and surround him. Now, Ultraman is able to blow them out of the air just with his Specium Ray, and then actually just makes very short work of Geronimon. He lands on top of him, rips out a bunch of the feathers on his head, and then just redirects his anti-gravity mist with his barrier, floats him into the sky, and then just holds him up so the Science Patrol can finish it off with their latest weapon and save the Earth once again. And that is it. Geronimon is dead, and he never comes back in any. It's the job of Ultraman Belial, decades before Ultraman Belial was even introduced to the franchise. The idea of a monster that can resurrect dead Kaiju and use them as his own pawns is something that was unique at the time. It was unheard of, and Geronimon was the first monster, at least to my knowledge, that actually did this. Now, when it comes to actually comparing Geronimon to other monsters, like how we would compare to, say, being put against Gamera Kaiju or Toho Kaiju, Geronimon, unfortunately, because we don't see very much of what he can actually do to full potential, is pretty lackluster. His feathers are an interesting attack, but really they're just going to be more of an annoyance towards most monsters. Even Ultraman, he clearly wasn't hurt, but was more just annoyed by them. It's not like they were actually stabbing into him like daggers or anything. His anti-gravity mist does work very fast, when Ultraman redirects it and it floats him up, it works faster than, say, Kaiser Ghidorah's anti-gravity bolts from Final Wars. So, the anti-gravity mist might actually be his most useful attack in battle. But how would that actually, say, defeat a Godzilla or even a monster that can fly? We just haven't seen enough of it. And until we do, Geronimo's really just going to be a very low tier monster that has a ton of potential. If we would ever see him actually resurrect monsters and know how he does it, it would be a game changer. But right now, with only resurrecting Teleston, Duraco, and Pigman, and then Pigman actually foiling his plans by running to the humans, kinda shows that Geronimon either doesn't fully know the monsters he's returning to life, or he has no control of it. And there's also something interesting going on with Duraco returning to life with hands instead of hooks. He does not have his wings, and he has a new crown of horns. When Duraco was killed by Red King several episodes earlier, his wings were ripped off, but this doesn't explain why he has a crown of horns now and hands. This was never actually explained, and really it's most likely just the fact Eiji Tsuburaya was messing with the suit at the time and never thought anybody would be really looking that deep into it decades later like I am here. So, just with that out of the way, unless Geronimon would resurrect an army of, say, Destroya and Zetans and Space Godzilla and Irises and Legions, Geronimon's not gonna really be a big master. Ultraman Belial does his gimmick better, unfortunately, but as I said, that doesn't mean Geronimon shouldn't return in some capacity, just not a final boss monster, but I do think his powers at least deserve a 2-episode, maybe mid-season boss fight. Now, Geronimon has come back in some video games. Parts of Geronimon were used for EX Tyrant, which is never given a actual suit, but is just limited to the video games of one of the Ultraman fighting evolutions, along with like an arcade game. And that is really it, unfortunately. Geronimon has so much potential to come back. I can see him returning in Shin Ultraman, where he would resurrect perhaps Shin Naranga and Gomez. As I said earlier, his powers are ripe for a 2 or 3 part arc. Perhaps giving him more than Pigman and 2 lackeys would be a much better way to actually reintroduce Geronimon. But if they would actually bring him back, I would love to still see them just throw a nod to Geronimon and also keep Teleston and Duraco as his servants again. And until next time, Kaiju fans, peace out. Join the Kaiju Hugbox. You can vote for the next Kaiju of the week. And yeah, Minya, take it away.
Zilla says you should like and subscribe.